I decided to log into Twitter today for the first time since Melon Husk took over, everybody's favorite incel billionaire. This caught my eye. It's not surprising. It's not that it's surprising in any way. It's just... It's the source. It's the source. First of all, we just got to state, welfare queen is a defamatory term. It's also got some racial connotations to it. I'm sure Donald Trump Jr. knows this because he's a very, very smart man, right? And even if he does know it, he's probably using it because he knows it's going to get a lot of traction because of just how defamatory the remark is. But more than that, he's calling Zelenskyy a welfare queen. Now, okay. Here's what I've kind of witnessed happening with the U.S. and anybody who reads any kind of news could witness this, but it's a lot easier since I'm on the outside now, looking in. Everything is for democracy, right? Nancy Pelosi even said it, that what's happening in Ukraine right now, it's a fight for democracy, and it's been a talking point of patriotic Republicans and right-wingers in the U.S. for how long? We're fighting to preserve democracy. I grew up during the infamous W. Bush years, and those were the years that made me really start to question if I really wanted to live in a country like the United States. When I was a youngin', we're protecting freedom, and if you're going after freedom, you're going after democracy. We can't have that. We can't have that. Can't have people going after democracy and our freedoms. But when it comes to a man whose country's sovereignty is being raped by an autocratic bully, I guess it's okay for some people to see any sort of aid going to that country, trying to protect its freedom, trying to protect its democracy. If that's really how we're going to frame this, other than people fighting for their lives, I would say that before they're fighting for democracy, but whatever. Does he remember who his father is? Does this guy... You're basically subsidizing his golf trips.
Fucking bullshit!
Every time he does that, he's got to pay Secret Service. He's got to pay for their travel, got to pay for their lodging, he's got to pay for their food, he's got to pay for all of the shit that he does at Mar-a-Lago under the guise of government business, right? And guess who pays for it? You do! You do, the taxpayer. But are you going to hold this guy accountable at all for saying that Zelenskyy is a welfare queen, for doing what any good leader who is being invaded by a bully would do? Go and ask for help? Are you going to take him to task for that? No, because if you're that far up the ass of Donald Trump and his family and his kids and all of this stuff, then you're buying this because of individualism. And this is what I talked about yesterday. This is how individualism affects not only groups of people, but it affects individuals because it turns them into blubbering idiots sometimes. Don't help anybody else. Put America first. And I'm like, well, yeah, America right now isn't being invaded by Russia or any other country, is it? What is happening in Ukraine right now is an absolute travesty. It is a tragedy. It's illegal. It's unlawful. And it's pretty antithetical to what even the most hardline right-wingers in the United States used to stand for, which is sovereignty and freedom and democracy. And if that is what's on the table, if this is just another consequence of capitalism and world powers, because you see, here's the thing, like, I don't support war. I try not to rally myself behind war and arms sales and propping it up, but I've kind of come to terms with the fact that this is just, at least within my lifetime, it's just going to be the way of the world. As long as there are big, rich white men with a lot of fucking money and a lot of power running giant superpower countries, and they've got smaller countries around them who they want to take for, strategic positioning or for economic reasons, this kind of stuff is just going to happen. Invasions and annexations and war crimes and civilians being murdered. It's just the way of the fucking world, and there's absolutely nothing a tiny speck like me or you or any other working class person in this world can do about it. So I do support Ukraine in this, and I do hope they beat back Russia, and I am pulling for them. I really am. I don't see this as what I guess some people would assume that I would be seeing this as another fucking war. I don't care who wins. No, I want Ukraine to win. I hope that they are able to find some kind of positivity out of this invasion, because it is kind of, as much as I hate to agree with Nancy fucking Pelosi and anybody else saying this is a war for democracy or they're fighting for democracy, in a small way, they kind of are. Because if Russia takes Ukraine over, if Russia wins this and they annex all of Ukraine, that sends a message to other superpowers out there who may or may not be bullies, China, United States, who may or may not as well be bullies. This sends a message to them that, hey, we did it successfully. You can do it too. It sets even more ugly precedent for big countries to take away the independence and the sovereignty of smaller countries that have kind of just been kind of hanging on as vassal states or as protectorates of a bigger superpower. It's an ugly precedent, and that is mainly why I am all in favor of whatever the hell Ukraine needs. Even if it is guns and bombs and rockets and shit that I'm just so averse to. It sucks. It really fucking sucks. But that's what's on the table here with what's happening. And I sure as fuck am not going to sit here and be okay with cunt bags like Donald Trump Jr. calling somebody a welfare queen, using a term that was basically coined by Ronald Reagan, a man who did more than any other president in recent history to destroy America. You could argue Bill Clinton and the Glass-Steagall repealing, but Ronald Reagan Ronald Reagan was an absolute net negative influence on the United States. He tripled the debt. He accelerated the drug war disproportionately. Take your pick. He was Satan incarnate, and people still cling to him as if he was some kind of genius, the way that they cling to Trump as if he's some kind of genius. Isn't that great? A movie star and a television star are somehow the economic geniuses that America needs. We're living in really strange times, but I really don't. This kind of stuff is just. It's beyond embarrassing. It's sickening. It really is quite sickening to me. And I know that kind of sentiment may seem a little weird coming from a person like me who is so far against war and nationalist aggression, stuff like that. But this is a case of a country protecting itself from a bully. And yeah. Fucking Donald Trump Jr. Your dad is one of the biggest welfare recipients. He's probably the most famous welfare recipient in American history, I would say. And what makes that even worse is that Donald Trump is supposedly really super rich and doesn't need anybody's help. He doesn't need banks to bail him out. Even though banks have bailed him out, because if Donald Trump went down, those banks would have gone down too, right? I mean, Donald Trump has been receiving welfare not just during his presidency, but long before his presidency. The only reason he's able to still call himself a billionaire and a genius and all this kind of stuff, and other people are able to call him those things, is because of the welfare he received from banks. And the welfare the corporate welfare he received. And that's worse than any kind of welfare. Even if there are people out there who are gaming the welfare system, the amount of corporate welfare happening right now unnecessarily far supersedes what any one person or collective group of people gaming the welfare system as poor people could ever do. They're doing far more damage than they could ever do. But once again, misdirected, misguided anger. Humans are mad at the wrong people. Corporate welfare is the problem. The kind of corporate welfare that this dickbag's father, who he has benefited from many, many times over as well, the kind of corporate welfare that they have been very familiar with. But, I guess it's okay to go and say that some guy trying to defend his country is just out there searching for welfare. Fuck these people. Fuck these people. Stop amplifying their idiocy. Stop. I guess some people could make the argument that I'm amplifying their idiocy, but by the same token, I'm trying to say, stop doing it. That would be nice. Have a good day, folks.